Hello and welcome to another episode of Dime.Scheduler in under 10 minutes. In this video, I will show you how you can plan jobs in Business Central using Dime.Scheduler. One of the core capabilities of our planning tool is the ability to wrap your ERP data in such a way that makes it a lot easier to plan your work and your people. And you could be planning anything and anyone with data from anywhere. What I'll do next is give you a quick overview of how Business Central and Dime.Scheduler can be used for short-term ad hoc job planning. There is another video that focuses on long-term project planning, but first let's have a look at how the short-term job planning looks like. This is Dime.Scheduler, and as you can tell, we try to use every pixel at our disposal to fill up and provide you with graphical scheduling capabilities. We see lots of colors, there's a lot of data, many buttons, and a whole bunch of elements out there that are designed to assist you in the planning process. One of these elements is a component called the Open Tasks list, which is a data grid that shows all the work that yet has to be planned. Planning is done through drag and drop from this list to the planning board, which is the component that you see in the middle of the screen. At the left-hand side of the component, we see our resources. And much like a task, a resource could be anything or anyone that you would like to schedule. In the middle of the component, we see our timeline, and then the blocks represent the planning that we have produced before. There are other components on screen like the resource filters or the capacity and planning pivot grid. They are designed to assist us in finding the right resource for the job with the right date and time. There is another element missing in the story. It is our back office system, and it's quite a crucial one because without the existence of Business Central or another ERP, CRM or line of business system, there will be no data to work with. So we rely on Business Central to provide us with the data like resources, like tasks, and all the metadata around it. So let's go to Business Central and prepare a job that we can then plan in the planning tool. I've already prepared this job right here that we'll want to plan in the planning tool in just a second. You can see it is a fairly simple job consisting of about 10 tasks spread over a couple of distinct phases. When you install the extension for Dime.Scheduler in Business Central, that will mostly add buttons across Business Central to link tables to our planning tool. The job card is slightly more elaborate because we've added the planning budget column to our task list. This column allows you to define how long each task will take, or at least an approximation of the required time to complete that task. We'll be using this information when we'll do the planning in Dime.Scheduler. At the bottom of this job card, we also have a section for Dime.Scheduler, allowing you to configure the behavior of this job in the planning tool. So for example, the planning level allows us to define where we should be looking at when creating tasks for this job in Dime.Scheduler. So we'll have multiple levels to play with. And also the planning mode, quite an important one, we'll choose planning board, but in the subsequent video, we'll focus on the Gantt chart, which is more appropriate for long-term project planning. But for now, let's stick to the planning board mode and send over this job to Dime.Scheduler. So we'll assume everything has been set up correctly, the customer has approved, they have been given permission to start proceedings. When it's all said and done, go to the actions, expand the Dime.Scheduler submenu, and then send over the job. We'll apply the configuration that you set in the Dime.Scheduler section of this job, and we'll create tasks accordingly. So in this case, we'll see about 10 new tasks appear for job number 10. Now back in Dime.Scheduler, when we navigate to the Open Tasks list and navigate to the bottom, we can see our job tasks will have been added automatically and immediately in this list. And as always, as soon as a record becomes available in this list, it is up to the planner to decide what will happen next. If he already knows who's going to do it and when, all he'll need to do is drag and drop it to the planning board, and then the story will continue in Business Central. But oftentimes the planner will want to use guidance and tips generated by Dime.Scheduler to look for the right resource, which is where this resource filters component comes into play, because it allows you to look for people with certain attributes like region, like skills, like languages, departments, and so on. You could manually construct filters or potentially automatically apply them based on your requirements of your work item. Just construct a filter like so, and then you hit the apply button, which will show the resources that meet these criteria. So you could be considering either one of these based on what you've specified in the builder. But you can ignore all these suggestions and overwrite everything the tool throws at you and assign it to somebody else. That's perfectly supported. So let's take one of the tasks here, development, and then we can start planning this one in. But I'd like to bring to your attention first, these two columns here are quite crucial to the behavior of a job task in Dime.Scheduler. You can see the estimated budget. This corresponds to the column that we had in Business Central. So this is the estimated budget that we'll have to plan in. So we'll have to plan in 16 hours for this job task 2001. The remaining budget means the amount of time that still has to be planned. So the 16 hours means nothing has been planned yet. So this number will change as we go along and plan this task in. By default, when we drag a task, we'll take a chunk of 8 hours when we plan this one in on our planning board. So let's assign it to Johnny Marr right here. As soon as I drop it, some things will happen behind the scenes. First of all, we'll update our remaining budgets. So we now have an appointment that takes about 8 hours. If you look at our task list here, you can see our remaining budget has been reduced by 8 hours. So we can see it updates automatically. If I change the duration with an hour, for example, you'll see the remaining budget is now 9 hours. So this will keep on appearing until your appointment has been booked in this amount of time. So if I change the duration once again, and then do drag and drop once more, you'll see the 8 hours will be deducted and the appointment will make sure that task 2001 disappears from the list. So now it's gone. The remaining budget is 0, so it's no longer an open task. It is now a planned task. And as usual, as soon as you modify any kind of planning, we'll reach out to Business Central and update the underlying record that we just planned in. So we can go back to our job through the context menu, or I still have it open in the browser right here. What we'll do by default is create job planning lines. So if we have a look at the bottom of our job card, we can see the planning behavior is what we'll do when a new appointment is created in the planning tool. So what we're going to do here is create a budget job planning line for each appointment that we plan in the planning board. So we had task 2001, which is right here. If we expand our job planning lines, you can see there's 2 blocks corresponding as 2 lines in the job planning lines. It is also possible to synchronize the planning that you produce on this planning board with people's Outlook calendars. So I have signed in for Johnny Marrs in his Outlook, and we'll see in a second these 2 appointments will appear automatically in his Outlook calendar. So you can see here, there's one for today and then there's one for tomorrow, just synchronized automatically and in real time with their Outlook calendars. So that's it in a nutshell for the short-term resource allocations for job tasks. There's obviously much more to it. I suggest you check out our website, Dime.Scheduler.com, and you may get a longer demo if you're interested. I'll see you in the next episode.